Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today we are diving into a semi-annual report, and unlike your average corporate filing, we're going to try to find out whether these funds are actually worth your money. Are they hitting home runs or striking out? Let's find out. We're going to look at something called the Macquarie Tax-Free Pennsylvania Fund, a report covering the last 6 months up to February. This is basically like a report card telling investors how well their money was managed. First thing everyone wants to know is the fees, the costs. For every $10,000 invested, the Class A shares cost about 41 for the period. That's around Zero's number, which means it's what you would pay if you kept your money invested for the whole year. The fund's net assets were about $438 million. They have 72 different investments in their portfolio. Total advisory fees paid to the people managing the money were a little over $99,000. The portfolio turnover rate was 7%, meaning they didn't do a whole lot of buying and selling in the period. Where was that $438 million invested? A big chunk, around 30%, was in healthcare revenue bonds, meaning bonds that are paid back with money that hospitals and healthcare centers bring in. Another 17% was in special tax revenue bonds, which are paid back using specific taxes. About 16% was in transportation revenue bonds, meaning the money is coming from things like tolls and airport fees. Finally, about 13% was in education revenue bonds, paid with money from colleges and schools. Geographically, over 81% is in Pennsylvania, 15% in Puerto Rico, and just over 1% in the US Virgin Islands. This fund provides extra information such as the prospectus, financial information, holdings and proxy voting information at Macquarie.com. There's also a Class C version. The costs are $79 per $10,000 investment, making it around 1.58%. The net assets, holdings, advisory fees, and portfolio turnover are the same as the Class A. What about the types of investments? Those allocations are also the same, mirroring the Class A holdings. Again, if you want to see everything in more detail, you can check out Macquarie.com for more information. Finally, there is the institutional class. The costs here are much lower, with only $29 per $10,000 invested, which is around 0.58%. The net assets, holdings, advisory fees, and portfolio turnover are the same as the other classes. And like the other classes, this fund has more information available at Macquarie.com or by calling their information line. The fund's principal executive and financial officers say that their disclosure controls and procedures work well. This is like saying they have a good system for making sure information gets where it needs to be accurately and on time. They also say there haven't been any big changes to their internal controls. Hesgrade now, putting it all together, what does this report really tell us? On one hand, the Macquarie Tax-Free Pennsylvania Fund has a sizable amount of assets under management, a diversified portfolio, and various share classes to suit different investor needs. However, the fund's performance, particularly when you consider the fees and expenses, might not be ideal for everyone. One of the main challenges I see is the geographic concentration in Pennsylvania and a large portion of Puerto Rico bonds, which means that any economic downturn in either of these regions could disproportionately hurt the fund. Also, a significant chunk of the portfolio is in healthcare bonds, which are sensitive to regulatory changes and demographic shifts, such as the ongoing baby boomer demographic shift. Finally, the fund has not done a whole lot of buying and selling during the year, meaning they're not actively trying to take advantage of favorable rates. Overall, this is a bad fund? Not necessarily, but it also isn't a great fund for everyone. It's critical to consult with a financial advisor to determine if it aligns with your personal investment strategy, risk tolerance, and financial objectives, such as low-cost index funds. Thanks for watching. If you found this decoder ring helpful, hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe for more corporate breakdowns.